Fans, hold on to this. Newcastle United might finally be about to get the key that will break the chains of PSR and give us the chance to challenge the so-called cartel of the Premier League once and for all. Just imagine it, the richest club in the world, tied down for years by unfair rules, could finally get the freedom to spend big and shake the foundations of the giants who've always tried to hold us back. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. I'm Rodrigo, and this is Newcastle Mania, the channel made by a fan for fans who live and breathe Newcastle United. You blinked, and Newcastle's name is everywhere in the headlines. And today, my friends, it's because one of the biggest obstacles that stopped us flying higher could finally be about to disappear. But first, just a quick word. If you love Newcastle and want to keep up with absolutely everything happening with our club, hit that subscribe button right now. It costs nothing, it helps massively, and it makes all the difference in growing our black and white community even more. Right, fans, listen to this. Richard Masters, the Premier League's chief executive, has confirmed that the decision on whether to scrap PSR is coming soon. Yes, that same set of rules that has tied Newcastle's hands in recent years could be gone by November. And if that happens, it could change absolutely everything about the future of our club. To break it down for you, since the 2015-16 season, the Premier League has applied something called the PSR, Profit and Sustainability Rules. These rules limit clubs' financial losses to £105 million over a 3-year period. On paper, it sounds nice. The idea is to keep the league balanced, stop bankruptcies, and prevent clubs from spending way beyond what they earn. But in practice, it's turned into a prison for clubs on the rise. And guess who's one of the main victims? Our Newcastle. We've got billionaire backers, a clear long-term project, a fan base that fills the stadium every single week, and the potential to turn Newcastle into one of Europe's biggest clubs. Yet these rules tie us down, stopping that investment from flowing freely. Meanwhile, the traditional giants, who've been stacking up massive commercial revenues and prize money for decades, can stay comfortably within the rules. But clubs like Newcastle, who are trying to grow, get slapped with restrictions. The result? Utterly ridiculous situations, like having to sell homegrown talents such as Elliot Anderson and Yankuba Minte, not because the manager wanted to, not for sporting reasons, but purely to avoid punishments like point deductions or even administrative relegation. And that's why so many critics say PSR doesn't actually protect competition, it protects the established elite. How can you compete on equal terms if the money meant to boost Newcastle's growth is forced to stay locked away? It's like putting the handbrake on a Formula One car and then telling it to race. And the fans feel this more than anyone. We all know what Newcastle could become. We dream of titles, of competing with the biggest clubs in Europe. But every transfer window turns into a maths exercise, with the club needing to balance the books, offload good players, and sometimes say no to big signings, all because of a system designed to keep the old guard safe. A rule meant to protect competition has become the opposite, a shield for the giants, a barrier for those who dare to grow. The English press has already called this clash the battle for the financial future of the Premier League. And honestly, they're not wrong. We're seeing a clear divide forming. On one side, the traditional clubs, those who've collected trophies, TV deals, and global sponsors for decades. They love the status quo. Why would they want change? The smaller the circle, the safer their dominance remains. On the other side, you've got the challengers, the clubs who want to break that logic. Newcastle is the clearest example, but we're not alone. Nottingham Forest and Everton have both spoken up against the current rules. And look at Everton's case. They were docked points for breaching PSR. Punished on the pitch for something that happened off it. How's that fair to the fans? Why should supporters suffer for decisions made in the boardroom? And here's the best bit, the reaction of the Newcastle fans. As soon as this news broke, black and white supporters stormed social media, demanding the end of this outdated system. Memes, posts, protest messages, all with the same cry, free Newcastle to grow. For once, it feels like the fans' voices are being heard loud and clear. Some journalists have already highlighted how powerful this reaction has been. They've said the Newcastle fanbase is showing the Premier League that no matter what tricks they use to try and slow us down, they can't stop what's coming. Other outlets have gone even further, calling this a historic moment, one that could redefine the direction of the competition in the years ahead. So you see, this isn't just about finances anymore. It's political. It's social. It's about fairness. It's about whether the Premier League will open the door to genuine competition or whether it will keep hiding behind rules designed to protect the same clubs who've been at the top for decades. And right at the center of this fight, Newcastle United and its fans, us. And there's more Toon Army, because this story didn't start today. Let's go back a bit. You all remember the drama that was the takeover of Newcastle United by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. It was a long, drawn-out process, full of obstacles, with rival clubs pushing behind the scenes to try and block the deal. There were secret meetings, heavy lobbying, lawyers working in the background, and even politicians getting involved. It felt like the whole system was mobilizing to stop Newcastle from taking that next step. And let's be clear, this isn't some conspiracy theory. This is reality. Many of the traditional clubs were terrified of what could happen if Newcastle suddenly had this level of investment. After all, we're not talking about a simple boost to the bank account. We're talking about a project capable of putting Newcastle among Europe's elite within just a few years. And when the takeover was finally approved, do you know what happened? The pressure just changed form. That's when they started pushing new rules and mechanisms, all with one clear goal: to slow Newcastle down. The PSR became the main weapon in this game. A rule that, on paper, looks nice because it talks about sustainability and balance. But in reality, IT works as a lock that benefits those already at the top and suffocates anyone trying to climb up. And the behind-the-scenes evidence is crystal clear. After the takeover, several rival executives spoke to the press, letting slip just how uncomfortable they were seeing Newcastle grow stronger. Some even called for investigations, others suggested tougher limits on investment, all with the same message: we can't let Newcastle grow too quickly. And we, the fans, have felt the consequences firsthand. We had to make decisions that no supporter wants to see. Academy lads, talented players we develop ourselves, were sold, not because the manager wanted to, not because it made footballing sense, but purely to balance the PSR spreadsheets. Eddie Howe himself has openly admitted how uncomfortable it was having to let go of promising talents purely for financial reasons, not sporting ones. So let's not be naive. There's been a coordinated effort to hold Newcastle back. They know our potential. They know the project being built. And they're afraid of seeing Newcastle break the stranglehold of the same old giants. Behind the curtains, IT feels like a political war, and Newcastle has become the main target. And who ends up paying the price? We do, the fans who just want to see our club grow freely, without chains imposed by rules made to protect the established elite. And Eddie Howe, as always, was straight to the point. I understand the concept of the rules, but the way they're working right now isn't right. That's a clear message. Either the Premier League adapts to this new reality, or they'll keep strangling projects that could take the league to another level of competitiveness. And if we compare with UEFA, there's already a more balanced system. Clubs can spend up to 70% of their revenue on the squad. Now the Premier League is considering something similar, but allowing 85%. And that would be a massive relief for Newcastle. Because let's be honest, when City, United, and Chelsea were throwing billions around back in the day, when there were no limits, nobody stopped them. But now that we've arrived, they want to put chains on. Isn't that just a cartel protecting itself? If the PSR is scrapped and replaced by this new system, Toon Army, Newcastle will finally be able to invest properly without fear. That means keeping our young talents, signing elite players, and building a squad to really compete with any giant in Europe. But if the current rules remain, we'll be stuck in the same cycle: forced sales, risk of points deductions, and an artificial break on our rise. Just imagine it with me, Newcastle Unchained. A club with the financial power we truly have, reinforcing the squad without having to sell our academy jewels. That's a future that could be just one meeting away, lads. And if it happens, IT could be the start of a new era, not just for Newcastle, but for the Premier League itself. And now, I want to ask you, do you think the Premier League will finally free Newcastle to compete fairly with the big boys, or will they keep protecting the cartel with these unfair rules? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know what you think. So that's IT for today. Toon Army, another massive story about our beloved Newcastle United. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like to help us out, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single update about the most passionate club in England. Every like, every comment, every sub makes a huge difference for our black and white community to grow. I'm Rodrigo, this is Newcastle Mania, and here you already know, Newcastle never stops, and neither do we. See you in the next video.